So many mobile games are hardly games at all. They're full of intrusive ads, dark patterns designed to get you to spend money, and push notifications that keep reeling you back in. And some apps like Monopoly Go do all of the above. Apple Arcade, on the other hand, flips the business model over. With a small upfront subscription fee, you have access to a bunch of titles, all of which are totally free to play and totally fun. But with so many games on the service, if you don't know where to start, here are all the best games on Apple Arcade. Let's start with Cityscape's Sim Builder. If you miss playing SimCity 2000, or you're upset that Cities Skylines 2 isn't coming to the Mac, this game is your consolation prize. Like any classic city building game, you need to balance the needs of your citizens as you build transportation, housing, industry, public services, all while staying within your budget. It's not really as hard as the classic games in the genre. There's a lot of, tapping around to upgrade different parts of your city in turn, and the tutorial levels are pretty railroaded, but it can still scratch the city building itch. And don't worry if you don't have a giant screen to play it on, like a Mac or an iPad. Cityscapes plays just as well on an iPhone. Next, we have Cooking Mama Cuisine. To start, you just pick an ingredient and a tool. But to actually prepare the dish in this cooking simulator, you need to act fast, because seasoning with salt and pepper, cooking meat on both sides, chopping up onions, rolling out dough, all of these have their own unique game mechanics that you need to learn and use in a matter of seconds. What is it that you're even cooking? You won't know until the very end when you're presented with the results of your fine work. This game is not only fun, it can legitimately teach you the basics of how to cook. Next up is Corn Sweeper. As the name implies, this is a popcorn-themed reimagining of the classic Minesweeper game for Windows. The game's story mode has a bunch of pre-made levels that you advance through. The store has upgrades that add new game mechanics, and you can marvel at your achievements in the Hall of Grain. The popcorn-based humor is a constant throughout the game. Jelly Car Worlds. In this game, you drive a car through a world of puzzles, blocks, ramps, moving balls, and more. Except everything is a little bit squishy. So you can squeeze your car through tight gaps and crevices you might not normally expect, but you also might need to rush over a ramp before it buckles under your weight. 2 people can play Jelly Car Worlds at once through local multiplayer if you have connected controllers, and you can even draw your own artwork on your car and record your own sounds. It's a lot of fun. Sayonara Wild Hearts. This musical rhythm game takes the neon cyberpunk style and runs with it. Literally. The custom soundtrack is amazing, the story is really weird and surreal, and just when you think you've got a hang of it, a completely different level will shake things up to keep it fresh. Don't let the simple controls fool you into thinking that the game is going to be easy, or for that matter, boring. It's described on the App Store as a dreamy arcade game about riding motorcycles, skateboarding, dance battling, shooting lasers, wielding swords, and breaking hearts at 200 miles per hour. Shovel Knight Dig. This is a classic 2D platformer game with fittingly retro graphics. You play as a knight wielding a shovel as you dig your way through these cavernous levels, and at the end of your perilous journey full of pixelated monsters, you will get back your stolen loot. Shovel Knight Dig is a game you'll really want to play with a connected controller. Now, if you already have a PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo Switch controller, you can connect to that over Bluetooth, or you can check out our list of the best controllers made just for iPhone. Squiggle Drop is a one-of-a-kind puzzle game that has you drawing a specific shape that will be released as an object to solve a puzzle or complete a task. Can you draw one shape that simultaneously pops 3 different bubbles, or drops an anchor out of a boat, or flips a pancake, or turns a screw to just the right angle? This game will simultaneously have you feeling like a mastermind engineer and also like an idiot artist with stupid hot dog fingers that can't draw. It's really fun. Now, do you want to play a magical, monster-murdering, dungeon-crawling game? Or do you want to play pinball? Finally, thanks to the Pinball Wizard, you no longer have to choose. This game is incredibly creative and fun. Like any Atari game, it's really easy to learn, but hard to master, and I keep coming back to it. What the Car? Made by the same developers who made What the Golf, this is a silly, zany parody of racing games. Every level is going to hit you with a completely different, wacky game mechanic. What the car is going to keep you on your toes, just like the car you play, which inexplicably runs around on legs. Word web is a twist on the crossword game, where instead of trying to guess the word, you're trying to build the puzzle. In the daily challenge, you get points for as many words as you can fit on a single board, getting more points for more words, or for using longer words. And in other challenges, you need to try and build a web that connects to the end square on the board. It's also a little bit like Scrabble, except there's no pressure to come up with the words yourself. If you hit the right tiles on the board, you get extra points and more words added to your word list that you can use. Now, in addition to all of those original titles, Apple Arcade also comes with what are called App Store Greats. These are all-time classic iPhone games that have been re-released for Apple Arcade with all of their in-app purchases removed. My personal favorite example of this is Asphalt 8 Airborne. This racing game takes you through a selection of real locations around the world, driving real-life supercars. Unlike the original version, there's no pay to win. You unlock new vehicles by having fun and playing the game. And in my opinion, it's balanced really well. Unlocking new classes demands you learn new tricks and up your skill at a pretty reasonable pace. It's a great game to play while you're listening to podcasts or unwinding with music. Bridge Constructor. This game puts you in charge as civil engineer, as you need to design bridges that can cross chasms, rivers, ravines, that can still take the heaviest vehicles on a tight budget. So you have an idea in your head and you immediately find that you don't have the budget to build it whatsoever. Then you try again with a different design, only to find that it immediately crumbles under its own weight. Then you think you finally got it right, and there's this nail-biting tension as the vehicles slowly cross and the bridge gets redder and redder like it's about to collapse. And when they finally make it over, you immediately want to do it all over again. Ridiculous Fishing EX. In this classic fishing simulator game, you throw your line off the boat, you try to get it as deep as possible, you try to hook as many fish as you can on its way back up, and then, just like real life, you throw all the fish in the air and shoot them with a shotgun. Ridiculous Fishing EX is a remake of the 2013 original with all new gorgeous 3D graphics, new game modes, new levels, and an in-game fish-based parody of TikTok. Snakeio is a game where you play as a snake eating bits to grow bigger and longer. If any other snakes crash into you, you can eat their dotty remains to grow bigger, or if you crash into any of the snakes, you're immediately out. It's a lot like Shark for the Intellivision, except live and online multiplayer, and just as addictive. On the Apple Arcade version, you get no ads and free restores. So those are all the best games on Apple Arcade. Links to all of them will be in the video description, where you can also click to sign up if you're not yet a subscriber. I'm D. Griffin Jones with Cult of Mac.